right, so Asian Arrow asked for how to drink Warhammer 40k Space Wolves Fenrisian Ale. Not sure if I got the title of that exactly right, but I'm sure somebody will let me know in the comment section down below. In any case, we're going to jump into this with the preface on this. Fenrisian Ale is horrifically intoxicating. In any case, let's roll.
In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is only war. And Mjord. Is that how you pronounce Mjord? I don't know. I have played a lot of Warhammer 40,000. I haven't in a bit because it's very time consuming, honestly.
Yes.
I don't have the table space for it, and I don't want to really travel to tournaments anymore, and so on and so forth. And I've had a few armies over the years. Let us talk about the armies from Warhammer 40,000 I've built. My first army was Blood Angels, but it wasn't really an army. It was a bunch of miniatures I started collecting when I was in middle school and really kind of too young to put two
Isn't that how it all starts?
and two together. I did have a Space Wolf army. My first Warhammer 40,000 army was Space Wolves. That was 3rd edition, actually, so that's pretty early, I guess, in Warhammer 40k lore, since we're now on 8th edition or something. I think we went through a rapid period of edition expansion. The army I probably played the most was Grey Knights. I had actually a Grey Knights army. I started out, I mean, now there's a whole codex and stuff like that, but when I built that army, it was very limited information on Grey Knights. It was built out of a White Dwarf article, if I'm not mistaken. So I was looking at Warhammer 40,000 to make a drink, and of course there are a few options from both the fluff material and the novels. The one that everybody is going to immediately
Right.
The one that 40k fans are immediately going to think of is Amasec. It's tough with Amasec,
Yes.
right? So they give a bunch of different descriptions of it. Sometimes they say it's distilled from grains. Sometimes they say it is distilled from grapes, so it's a brandy or cognac. I think that the answer really is that Amasec is the good quality spirits that are locally produced on a planet.
Personally, I think that Amasec is a kind of whiskey, but
Somewhere in the Imperium, locally, right? That doesn't really give me a lot to go on a drink. There's a few other things that if you guys want more, we might look at. I don't know if Amasec is one of them. We could look at doing Old Foys. I don't think there's very much information on what Old Foys is, but it's at least a specific brand of something in the 41st millennium. Wild Snake, which is popular amongst the gangers in the hive worlds of in the Underhive of Necromunda. Wild Snake sounds like a mixed drink. We might have something with that. Fabius Bile. He is a apothecary for the emperors.
Fabius Bell does sound like a drink name now that I think about it.
His children, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a Chaos Apothecary Space Marine. He's got this warp ichor he uses. It runs through his blood. That might be a beverage we could work on. There's Orc Fungus Beer, maybe? I don't know. Fungus Beer.
That sounds disgusting.
Yeah. That might be a Dwarf Fortress thing too, though. And then there's Sacra, which comes from Tanith, which of course Tanith is gone now, but it was probably a very high proof descendant of sacramental wine, maybe. Something to look at with Sacra. But the one that I, as a guy who started out playing Space Wolves and looking at iconic drinks from the 41st millennium, the Space Wolves' own Fenrisian Ale comes to mind. Let's bring the rest of you up to speed on Warhammer 40,000 very quickly here. So the Space Wolves are a chapter of Space Marines. They're a chapter descendant of one of the founding legions of Space Marines, the Adeptus Astartes, and their Primarch.
Technically, no. Technically, the Space Wolves are still their own founding legion since they don't have successor chapters.
That is the...
If you think I'm wrong, I'll fight you.
Progenitor of their chapter, which their gene seed is descended from and based on, is Lemon Rus, who is a sort of science fiction version of a Viking saga hero / werewolf. Actually, that's interesting though, because in the sagas there are some I'm trying to remember, Sigurd, his dad, becomes like a werewolf because he lays with wolves when he's an outlaw and he becomes a... Anyway, so Space Marines are genetically modified, superhuman, walking nightmare creatures that wear tanks for armor and descend on planets en masse and kill everything in sight. So Space Marines have a bunch of implanted organs that make them into Space Marines, and 3 of these organs make it kind of impossible for them to get drunk from alcohol. The oolitic kidney, the preomnor, and the homostamin gene seed implant kind of work in concert to make it so that any toxins that are ingested into their body are immediately expelled and processed, so they can never get drunk from ethyl alcohol. The Space Wolves, though, so inventive, they found a way around that. See, they took alcohol and got a plant that is native on their homeworld of Fenris. It's a little bit toxic, and they got that into there, and then that actually causes their oolitic kidney to temporarily shut down so that they can get drunk. Of course, they still need to, they're still super nightmare monsters, and so they need to drink a lot of booze to get drunk, but whatever. That is great. That's a lot of information when adapting a fantasy drink or a science fiction drink to go on. And I started looking at meads to start there. I tried a few different meads. I gotta say, as much as I hate to keep coming back to the same bottle again and again and again, and I want to go around, the Viking Blood mead is definitely the most interesting one I have found that I could say would be a commercially available mead. You know, if I go to a local meadery and pick up some homebrew mead, that may not, unless I'm teaching you how to make mead, that doesn't necessarily help you, right? This stuff is actually available in liquor stores. I can't say everywhere, but I would bet that if you went to your liquor store and said you really wanted to try some Viking Blood, here in the United States anyway, just because of the way liquor distribution works, they would be able to order you some. The next thing from our description is we know it has to have some kind of toxic quotient to it. It has to have some level of toxicity to it, right? And so when I think about drinking and, quote, toxic stuff, I think of, well, wormwood, which has thujone in it and is the dominant thing in absinthe. So we're going to use some absinthe in here.
Okay.
It fits oddly well because thujone is a convulsant that causes kidney damage in super high doses, not in any real, I mean, we don't have to worry about it here. So the fact that it shuts down the oolitic kidney, I think that we're really playing in the right space. And then I played around with ratios of absinthe to Viking Blood to find what I liked. Then of course we need to proof it up because we know it's super strong. And we're not going to use a ton of absinthe, and Viking Blood is, you know, it's wine, so it's 19% alcohol, so that's not super duper strong. It's only 40 proof. That doesn't seem like it's going to grow hair on a Space Marine's chest to me. And I thought about using bourbon or whiskey here, and it felt right thematically, but then actually I was just thinking about this, and I was like, you know, it doesn't really feel right thematically, because everything, despite the Space Wolves' outward appearance as being Vikings and borrowing subtly from Viking culture, but they are still Space Marines. They still cruise around in outer space in hyper-advanced battle barges. I feel like completely neutral, 95% ethanol, grain spirit, Everclear would be the way to go. We're going to use very small amount of this, right? And we're going to get to the same alcoholic quotient. It just feels more on brand. And in my experiments, a bourbon really wasn't coming through with much flavor anyway in the face of the absinthe or the mead, you know? It's just there to kick it up. If it's just there to fortify it, why not use the Everclear? Just use less. It feels like it would be made off of the heat exchanger of a battle barge engine or something like that. Like, it's just like, makes perfect sense to me. All right, so I think we're on to something here. We're gonna mix it up here, and we'll toast Leman Russ and the Emperor and the 13th Company. The 13th Company. I don't know if we're supposed to admit that they exist.
Okay, I almost spit my drink when he said that, and there was an ad, luckily, because I was sitting there drooling out of the side of my mouth like an idiot.
So, I'm going to start with 4 ounces of my Viking Blood. It is really the driver here. 1/4 ounce of St. George absinthe.
Okay.
It's like, originally I was thinking, like, maybe we just want to dash a little bit in there, and I've played with that, and that certainly works. You can definitely get away with less absinthe, but I don't know. I feel like it should be kind of front and center, and this still tastes good to me. I'd say more than 1/4 ounce, the drink is going to just taste like absinthe. And 1/2 ounce of Everclear. I know a lot of people think, like, what are you doing with that? It's Everclear. Well, you know, it's entirely dependent on how much water you're adding it to. I mean, the best way to think of Everclear is to think of it as being double vodka, right? It's vodka that's double the alcohol content of regular vodka. That's all it is, really. So if you would have drank 2 ounces of vodka, you could use 1 ounce of Everclear instead. I could open pour this, but I'm going to strain it because it'll be, I don't know, I find sipping around ice cubes to be a pain. I have this skull here. I can't imagine a better thing to drink this out of. There is our Fenrisian Ale. And we drink the Fenrisian Ale. Who do we toast? Well, we toast Lemon Russe!
Nah. The Emperor, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
That's surprisingly great. That is great. I like that a lot. It is anise forward. It is absinthe forward. So if you don't love absinthe, you should probably dial that back. I happen to really like absinthe. But it's definitely not all absinthe. The absinthe is definitely not overpowering it. Hold on, let me give you a quick, it's got a long evolution. I like this a lot. Absinthe opener. Really kind of assaults the sinuses. Feels like...
Hello, Green Fairy. Ricola.
It gives way to this lovely honey. It's very nice. Honey that subsides into the floral hibiscus notes and the hops that are in the Viking blood. That's cool.
You know, I haven't had hibiscus tea in so fucking long, I want to give it a try again.
I could see that the absinthe might be a bit much for some people, the way this worked out. So that was a 1/4 ounce of absinthe. You know, maybe use a dasher, maybe use some dashers, maybe use a bar spoon. Work that up to the amount that you want. There's an argument too that you could use a vermouth instead of an absinthe, because the vermouth also should have wormwood in it. You know, I haven't done those experiments, and I'm not going to right now. I don't think that vermouth is as in keeping with the theme here as absinthe is. You know, we want harsh stuff. We want high-proof spirits. We want things with a bad reputation. Kind of feels much more in line with the fluff surrounding this this particular beverage, the Fenrisian Ale. Fluff, of course, being the term that Warhammer 40k fans use to describe the story material that surrounds the tabletop miniature war game, the fluff. Is it still relevant? The 40k Fluff Bible? That was like an internet PDF that you could find online. Somebody had like kind of collated everything important about to say. Lemon Russe!
The Emperor, you asshole.
The only ingredient we're missing here is blood. Because if I'm not mistaken, the Space Wolves do have a drinking ritual where they sit around and drink Fenrisian Ale, but they all bleed into it together first to like share their gene seed, and it puts them into a sort of a battle frenzy. Yeah, and then some of them turn into werewolves. Is there something I could add to this that would put like an iron taste in it? Do I want an iron taste in it? It would be nastier. I don't know. I think that as much as
I love the side comments.
The description of Fenrisian Ale gave us to go off of, I feel like this is it. I don't know. I don't think I can come up with anything better. I'm very happy with this. It tastes great. I like it a lot.
Excellent.
I could actually see making this one on my own. I suppose for the way I would probably drink this, I might personally not bother proofing it up with the Everclear. I don't particularly need it to be rocket fuel strong, but if I was a Space Wolf, I would. Hence the Everclear. I like it more and more every sip. I actually really like that. What I think is interesting about this too is that I find that typically absinthe is a very late arriving flavor component in a drink. So when you put absinthe in it,
and
that's because I usually use just like
it. So 4 ounces of Viking blood mead, about a 1/4 ounce of absinthe, 1/2 ounce of Everclear. Shake it over ice and serve it in a skull. Works.
Dashes. It's like the last, the 10th thing you detect is the absinthe. Here it's first, which is fun. It's different. I'm on Twitter at How to Drink. I am on Instagram at How to Drink. I am on Patreon at patreon.com/howtodrink. I have a Twitch at twitch.tv/Greg from HTD. And while I have zero plans to play Warhammer 40k tabletop on Twitch, I might play. There are some computer games that I haven't really visited any of the Warhammer 40,000 computer games, except for Space Marine. I did like that. But maybe we'll get some of that going on there. And there's other things going on my Twitch too, so not just gaming. Actually, the gaming is sort of the least important thing I'm doing on Twitch. So I hope that you enjoyed the show, and if you did, I hope you will subscribe and check out some of my other videos. We have adapted Estus Flask from Dark Souls. You might want to check out that one. I made some drinks for Dungeons and Dragons. That might be up your alley. I would encourage you to take a look at those. I have a second channel now called H2D2, where if you miss the live stream on Twitch, it will show up on H2D2 about a week later. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is only war. Your innocence proves nothing. The Emperor is clearly alive, well, and healthy, and the Inquisition would like to know your location.
Alright, so that was How to Drink's 40k Space Wolves drink. I did not know what to think when I first took a look at this. I'm getting to the point where I've seen a lot of things 40k. I did not know what exactly I would be seeing, but this was pleasantly good. This was really nice. If I was still to the point where I had about an $850 liquor cabinet and I still drunk regularly, I'd be writing that recipe down. But that's just me. In any case, yeah, I'm probably going to check out his Dune Spice beer because my wife is a massive fan of Dune. I actually can't wait to see that movie when it comes out, but I'd like to see the Dune Spice beer. So I'm probably going to watch that when I have some free time. But, all things considered, I'll catch you guys next time. Like and subscribe if you can, and if you feel like supporting the channel, there's a Patreon link down below, and I'm going to see if there's anything in his description for any kind of financial support that he would like. And I'll put that in the description as well. I'll catch you guys next time.